Let me tell you a story, not of a saint nor of a prophet, but of a man who dared to lose everything just to find what truly matters. A man who began as Richard Alperta, but ended as Ram Dass. It was the 1950s. America was booming, the post-war dream alive and kicking. And somewhere in the hallowed halls of Harvard University walked a young, brilliant psychologist named Richard Alperta. Son of a wealthy Jewish lawyer, Alperta had everything: degrees from Tufts, Stanford, and a tenured post at Harvard. He was charming, well-dressed, respected, but deep inside, he was restless. He later said, "I had it all, and yet I knew something was missing." He was fascinated by the mind, but terrified of the soul. The idea of something beyond intellect, something mystical, spiritual, was laughable to him, until he met a wild-eyed professor named Timothy Leary. The doorway of perception, Leary and Alperta began exploring psychedelics, first psilocybin, then LSD, not as party drugs, but as tools to crack open the ego and perhaps find what lies beyond. Alpert's first trip shook him. He saw that he was not his body. He saw that he was not his thoughts. He saw that the self, the eternal observer, was beyond all of it. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. He said, "I'd been trained to believe that my entire identity was my intellect. Then suddenly, that identity shattered." But while Leary got pulled deeper into politics and rebellion, Alperta felt called to go beyond chemistry, beyond theories, beyond the West itself. So one day, he bought a one-way ticket to India. The guru in the blanket, he arrived in India like most Western seekers do, confused, skeptical, and slightly arrogant. He met yogis, monks, and charlatans. But nothing clicked until someone told him about a strange old man living in the Himalayan foothills. His name? Neem Karoli Baba. A man with no degrees, no books, no sermons, just a blanket, and a smile that saw straight through you. Ram Dass's first meeting with him was nothing short of divine ambush. The guru looked at him and said, "You were thinking of your mother last night." Alperta froze. His mother had passed away years ago. No one in India knew. He began to cry. "How do you know that?" Neem Karoli Baba just smiled and said, "Your mother died of spleen. I know everything." In that moment, Richard Alperta died, and Ram Dass, servant of God, was born. Be here now, Ram Dass returned to America with something more powerful than any LSD trip: stillness. He spoke of love, surrender, mindfulness. He taught meditation, selfless service, the yoga of devotion, and in 1971, he wrote a book, Be Here Now. It wasn't just a book, it was a portal, a blue manual, part autobiography, part cosmic poetry, part how-to guide for spiritual awakening. And it exploded, sold millions, touched lives, became a holy relic for an entire generation. He wasn't preaching religion, he was inviting people inward, to meet God not in a church, but in now. Grace in the fall years later, Ram Dass suffered a massive stroke. It left him partially paralyzed and impaired his speech, but even then, he radiated love. He called the stroke fierce grace. He said it stripped away the final layers of ego. "I used to be clever," he said, smiling through slurred words. "Now I'm free." He spent the rest of his life in Maui, guiding seekers, meditating, smiling at the sky. When people asked him, "Ram Dass, what's your message?" he would gently respond, "Love everyone, serve everyone, remember God." Ram Dass passed away in 2019, in peace, surrounded by those he loved. But his voice echoes still. He showed us that real spirituality isn't about running away from the world. It's about showing up fully present, heart open, ego surrendered. He lived as proof that awakening isn't for the chosen, it's for the willing. So if you ever find yourself feeling lost, just remember his words. We're all just walking each other home.